This is Algebra 2, Chapter 3, Section 2, in which we will be solving systems of inequalities, and we'll do this by graphing. We already know how to graph linear inequalities. That's what we did at the end of last chapter, where we pretended what we had was an equation. We found our points, usually our intercepts, we graphed it, decided whether we needed a solid line or a dotted line, and then did a test point to decide which side to shade. The idea works the same way for linear inequalities. You graph each one, for a system here, you graph each one on the same graph, then you shade the area that's true for all of them. So the idea is still the same. You're still finding where it's true and shading it. It's just you have overlapping sections of true. So let's consider a system of inequalities. Y is greater than 2x minus 4, and y is less than or equal to negative a half x plus 3. Well, we know how to graph y is less than 2x minus 4. We know how to graph this. We know where the intercept is, negative 4. So I have to tell my machine to give me a dotted line because it's not or equal to. We start at negative 4, and we have a slope of 2 in this case. So starting at y equals negative 4 with a slope of 2, that's up 2 over 1. So I started at y equals 4, and then I went up 2 for every 1 I went over. And the same thing, I'll go down 2 for every 1 I go over. And we'll line those up a little nicer. So we have a dotted line going through negative 4 with a slope of 2. Now we need to pick a testing point. 0, 0 is a good choice because it doesn't go through there. 0 is greater than 0 minus 4. 0 is greater than negative 4, that's true. So I need to shade this side of the line. Okay? I don't want to forget that, so I'm going to put a little arrow that says shade that way. Okay? You could go ahead and shade it, but then your graph is going to get a lot messier trying to find where everything overlaps. So I just put these little arrowheads that say shade that direction. Okay. Now we're going to graph the second line. Y is less than or equal negative a half x plus 3. This one is less than or equal to, so I need a solid line. And it's going to give me a solid line, so that's good. The intercept is at 3. So we'll start here, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, and then I need to go the opposite direction, so up 1, back 2, and it looks something like that. Plugging in our 0 and 0. 0 is less than 0 plus 3. Certainly 0 is less than 3 is true. So I need to shade in this direction for this line. Shade toward the 0, 0 point. So now I'm all set to do my final shading. I need to shade where both of these overlap. Well, it's below this line and to the left of this line, so I'm shading this area. Okay. And as before, your shading doesn't have to be pretty. You don't have to make it look perfect. As long as you've got the right area shaded, I'm as happy as I can be. Now let's try another situation to where we can see what's going to go on here. This is a little bit of a different deal. We have y is greater than negative 4x plus 8, greater than or equal, and y is less than negative 4x plus 4. Now, hopefully you've noticed that these two lines have the same slope. This means these two lines are parallel. Okay. The first line goes through 8 and goes down 4 over 1. So 8, down 4 over 1, down 4 over 1. And I chose a solid line because it was equal to, as opposed to the next one where I need the dotted line. We're going to start at 4 and go down 4 over 1, down 4 over 1. And surprise, surprise, they're parallel. Okay. Now let's figure out our shading. We're going to start with the top line. 0 is greater than 0 plus 8. That is false. 0 is not greater than 0 plus 8, so I don't shade this side for the solid line. I shade this direction. Okay. 0 is less than 0 plus 4, on the other hand, is true. So for the dotted line, I shade toward 0, 0. Where do these overlap? They don't. When your two sections don't overlap, then you report no solution because they don't overlap. Okay, that's the tricky cases. When you have parallel lines, if they don't overlap, there's nothing you can do about it. Had the signs been backward, so that you were shading to the left of the solid line and to the right of the dotted line, then you would be shading this middle strip. So when you have parallel, you could get the strip, or you could get no solution. So the idea was we graph the inequalities just like we did before. We do our shading, and then we have to find where the shading would overlap, and that's the final shaded solution. If you had any questions along the way, hopefully you jotted those down, bring them in, and we will see you in class.